Podcast. You have Schiff and myself here as always. You may notice Schiff has the change of clothes from the Ravens onto USC because USC is now playing. But for our first game of the Sunday afternoon slate, we have the Cardinals going into Santa Clara and playing the 49ers, where the Niners are favored by 7, understandably so, and the over-under is 48.5. On the Cardinals side of the ball, I know Kyler's had a couple games where he hasn't performed as much as we would want him to, mainly just this last game. But Kyler's a guy you have to throw in your lineup. Like, he's so dynamic. He can make it happen with his legs. He can get it done through the air. Kyler's a guy you keep in no matter what. I feel the same about James Conner and obviously Maserati Marv. The only real question mark here is Trey McBride, who today was downgraded to questionable with a rib injury. Something to heavily monitor. He obviously got concussed week 3, missed week 4, and was slated to return. Again, something to heavily monitor. If he is unable to go, I am off the Elijah Higgins train. Something I...
The experiment failed.
Yeah.
We tried it.
You know, he got 3.2. You know, he didn't zero us. He did not zero us, but yeah.
Better than Mark Andrews.
I wasn't going to say it, but no, when you put it like that, though, there are but again, I'm moving from that. I like pivoting, and we've talked about how there's a couple tight end injuries, like an Evan Ingram that's out again, Trey McBride, Njoku's going to try to go, and he, should be able to, but again, if he's not able to. So that's why when I looked at the waiver wire, I saw guys like Colby Parkinson, who again is not going to get you the flashy numbers, but he has shown week after week he will not dud you. He's going to get you around 5 to 7 points. He's only 24% rostered. He should be there. Tyler Conklin's another name. The past 2 weeks, he saw 6 targets than 8. And I also had Brenton Strange. Try to get him before the Evan Ingram owner does, if you're going to go that route. We also have Patriot royalty playing in this game. None other than Chad Ryland, who will be the Cardinals kicker because Matt Prater is going to be unable to go. So, don't start him. But I had to give a shout out to Chad Ryland. Absolutely. But with the Cardinals side of the ball, we know Maserati Marv, James Conner, Kyler. If McBride can go, you put him in. If he can't go, I'm going somewhere else other than Elijah Higgins. I can't do it again.
Yeah, perfectly understandable. You talk about tight ends and their statuses. George Kittle is listed as questionable, as well as Fred Warner, which Fred Warner is important to note because he is the centerpiece of the Niners defense. If he doesn't play, I mean, that's a lot better for James Conner, probably a lot better for Kyler Murray at the end of the day. Last week, we were talking about Kyler Murray's performances. Last week, he only had 3 rushing yards, which is very abnormal for him.
Yeah.
So not something that I think we'll see too often. It is a tough defense, but I think he could definitely get it done this week. But yeah, I mean, the last news we have on Kittle is just that he's listed as questionable, and him and Warner are listed as questionable after missing practice on Wednesday and Thursday. No information after that, so that's something you're going to have to heavily monitor if you are a Kittle owner. Yeah. And also something to pay attention to the Fred Warner status if you have, James Conner you're starting anyways, but, something that you probably want to watch.
For sure.
The Niners, the Cardinals defense is not good. They had one good performance against a reeling Rams team when they lost Cooper Kupp in that game. Other than that, they got waxed at home by the Commanders. Mm-hmm. And, the Niners, if they do have Kittle, then they will have their full array of weapons aside from McCaffrey. If they don't have Kittle, Juwan Jennings has been performing great. I think I'm honestly not concerned with anybody starting Juwan Jennings at all this week. But if Kittle doesn't play, I think he's an even better start. Obviously, Debo and Ayuk are both in there. Jordan Mason's not even a question. And if you want to throw Brock Purdy out there this week, it's like a streaming option. I think
Yeah,
he's performed very well against the Cardinals every time he's played them. So I think he'll be a very good option in this game. Realistically, I'm starting all the
I
Niners that I have,
agree.
and I don't think it's something you really have to think too much about. It's probably going to be a get right game for Ayuk. At least we'd like to hope so.
Gosh, dude, I thought that was gonna be. Yeah, yeah. No, you're not wrong. I think even Jake Moody, the defense, everyone from the Niners should be able to get a go here.
The defense. That if you have the Niners defense, then I'm definitely watching whether or not Fred Warner plays. If he doesn't
That's
play,
true.
then I'm more hesitant because this could be a very high scoring game. I mean, it's
Yeah,
divisional. The Cardinals do play the Niners tough. They happen to score a lot of points every time they play them. So, given that, then I'm really watching Fred Warner's health. But yeah, and Moody, obviously, yes.
yeah. The game I've been dreading covering. It is the Raiders going in to Denver and taking on the Broncos in what I think will be a disgusting game. I mean, the over under is projected 35 and a half, and Denver is favored by 3. And the Raiders are fairly short-handed. They will be without Zamir White, missing with a groin injury. They'll be without Devontae Adams with a hamstring injury. Don't know the validity of that or not. Yeah, I agree. I'll preface it. I don't know, but he will be out. And Michael Mayer also, something personal is going on with him. I hope all is well with him. But he's not super involved fantasy wise, but it is one less technically weapon they will have. So the guys that are left should benefit more from that. I'm not looking to start Gardner Minshew. I think Madison should be able to finish with a double digit finish just from his pass volume alone. You don't think so?
No, I really don't. I mean, the reason I say no is because I looked last week and what they did to Brees Hall.
Yeah.
We, I mean, just looking at this game as a whole, we know the Raiders' identity. We know what Antonio Pierce, at the end of the day, wants to do. And they're going to be able to play probably good defense in this game.
Yeah.
I do believe that the Raiders will be able to play good defense. Now, their offense, it's been here and there, but without Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, last week, the Browns' offensive line, and there were just some crazy plays in that game.
Yeah.
But all in all, just how good the Broncos' defense has been and how they've taken away number one receivers. I mean, okay, so no Devontae, what they're going to take away Jacoby Myers, and that
Mm-hmm.
leaves you. I mean, hell, they might even honestly. I don't think it's that far fetched to think that the Surtain treatment goes to Brock Bowers. I really
It
don't think
very well could.
it very well could. I mean, it could switch throughout the game. It's just one thing taking away Devontae from this game without Surtain having to do it, and the Raiders, their rushing offense has just been
Abysmal.
rough already. And just seeing what Brees did, like I mean, because you'd like to think, okay, Brees going up against the Broncos, he could get it done with his pass catching, and he had a horrible performance. So I think
Yeah.
some people are going to be backed into a corner of starting Madison, and he's going to be a starting running back this week. But I think the output is going to be pretty rough at the end of the day.
And it very well could be. I think the only point people could make is what Brees is to the Jets offense is way different than what Madison is to this Raiders offense. Like if you stop Brees, I mean, it's him and Garrett Wilson. I agree with you. I agree. I still
That's why
think
I was
he
just
can
saying
get
that the
double from
point that the
pass.
Raiders offense is at
Yeah.
where they don't have Devontae makes it a lot more difficult because they can kind of hone in a little bit more on the run.
Yeah.
Granted, we got to see what happens. And like I said, some people are going to be backed into the corner of playing Alexander Madison this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing Chase Brown. People are playing Justice Hill. It is what it is. Injuries and bye weeks. But this is one like same with Chase Brown and Zach Moss. It's like you're going to have to temper your expectations just a little
For
bit.
sure. For sure. And I think it's the same with the pass catchers. Again, we don't know who Sertan is going to be shadowing. If it's Jacoby, whoever it is more than likely going to have a rough day. Jacoby's been solid. I mean, the whole season he's been decently solid, but especially these past 2 weeks, obviously the targets have skyrocketed for him and Trey Tucker both. I honestly think Trey Tucker will have a better fantasy day. He really just has to be, you just have to get him once decently downfield, and he's going to finish with a solid fantasy day. But with buys, with injuries, it's the same boat. I think a lot of people are starting Jacoby because he's going to have to be the wide receiver one without Devontae. But yeah, I agree. Temper your expectations with both these guys. Brock Bowers is a guy, I mean, again, he's going to be in your lineup. Um, if it is Surtain on Jacoby, then Brock Bowers could feast a little bit more. And if it's Surtain on Bowers, then Jacoby could feast a little bit more. But just be ready. It's going to be an ugly one. I think on both sides of the ball.
Oh, definitely. But I think we're at the point, watching how the tight ends have been at this season, you are putting Brock Bowers out there
Oh, for
regardless.
sure.
Like, I know you're on that same page, but it's like there is no like, should I start so and so over Brock? No. Especially with Devontae out, he is going to be everything to this team. They realize what a talent he is, and he's
Yeah.
going to be utilized as that.
Yeah, but I mean,
So,
that's really it. I think there's probably not going to be too many scoring opportunities. And then when you
no.
spread that around with who they have there, it's just you might not see too many great fantasy. It's a game the Raiders could win and still have very poor fantasy output. Like that's a
Well,
reality.
yeah, you look to last week, the game that I mean, it just looks so similar to me,
Mm-hmm.
especially you take away Devontae Adams. The Raiders do have a capable defense, and the Broncos offense hasn't gotten any better since last week. Um, I don't know. I think you're kind of in the same position with like Javonte Williams as you are with some of these other guys. Like we
Yeah.
have mentioned, if you have him, hopefully you have enough running back depth to where you don't have to start him like some of these other names. But I mean, chances are, if you've picked up Madison, you need to start him. If you've picked up Chase Brown at this point, you need to start him.
Yeah.
But if you need to start Javonte Williams, I mean, that it is what it is. He had a much better week last week. I mean, so to say. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not expecting any big things from the Denver backfield. Not starting Bo Nix. Cortland Sutton is really the only questionably startable asset on this team.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, we talked about kind of the funny stat that Bo Nix had 60 passing yards. Cortland Sutton had 60 receiving yards. Is
It's
he the
disgusting.
far and away number one on this team? Yes. So, I mean, there will be opportunities in this game, and I think he's like not the worst start. But other than
Yeah.
that, it's really the Broncos defense. And hell, I mean, I think this game is going to be like 6 or 7 field goals between both teams. So if you want to start the kickers, then this is really going to be a truly nasty game. And the possibility is really there that because we're saying this and so down on it, that there's like 45 points scored in this game, but
For sure. For
every
sure.
bone in my body is just telling me that
And I don't blame you
this
for
is
it.
going to be a rough one.
Yeah.
But with that, we'll go into the next one, which is going to be it's going to be a one-sided game. I mean, let's be real. There's no Malik Neighbors. It's Devin Singletary is doubtful.
Yeah,
So
he's probably not
the
going to go either.
two main parts of this team are now going to miss the game. Um, I mean, I'll keep it short and sweet. You can start Wandale Robinson if you're playing half or full point PPR. If you're playing standard, then um, we're in 2024, but I would definitely not start him in standard. He's probably going to have like 10 or 11 catches for like 45 yards. So there's that. And Tyrone Tracy, are, if that's where you're at, then that's where you're at. I mean,
Yeah.
if Devin Singletary doesn't go, you really need a running back that is going to get snaps. He's looked decent enough, and you're just praying that he breaks off a big run or gets a bunch of dump offs throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other than that, you are not, unless you are just down horrendous and in the need to start Darius Slayton, which I'm praying for you at that point. But other than that, I mean, you're not starting Daniel Jones. I mean, funnily enough, he might have some rushing yards this week just because their like superstar is gone and the running back is gone. So
Yeah.
he might have like 40 or 50 rushing yards, but I can see him having a few turnovers in this game. And the Giants just having a difficult time moving the ball in general. Um, Not really too much else to talk about on their side of the ball. I mean, the over under in this one's 42.5, then the Seahawks are favored by 7
Yeah.
at home.
It and it makes sense. Uh, the Seahawks side of the ball, they're getting healthy again. They are looking good. Geno's currently the QB9 after 4 weeks. He has 3 top 10 fantasy finishes. Do what you want with that information. It just shows. I mean, he should have a solid game here. The only thing that could limit him and the receivers is just if the Seahawks go up early and kind of just run this one into the ground, which is a real possibility.
I
But
think we're very much on the same page with that.
yeah, and that's the reason. Obviously, you're starting Ken Walker, and I like starting Charbonnet. He's gone double digits every week. And again, if you think the game script is going to be like that, which there's a very high chance it is, Charbonnet will probably still be decently involved in the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the I mean, when I did mention Charbonnet, I think it was we were talking about Austin Eckler. I would
Yeah.
still start Austin Eckler over him. Like that,
Yeah.
I will stand on. But no, I think Charbonnet, just the way that this game looks like it could go. Sharp and Ken Walker's dealing with a little bit of an injury still. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if it gets out of hand quick, we could see a lot of Zach Charbonnet in this game.
Yeah.
Something that I was looking at that I thought was pretty funny. I think if I could get back to it, DK's receiving line, DK Metcalf, not DraftKings. This week is like at 55.5 receiving yards, and he has topped 100 the last 3 weeks. So I think that just goes to show like Vegas is kind of leaning towards the
Yeah.
same idea that it's not going to be too much passing volume to go around in this game because it's probably, I don't think the Giants are going to be able to move the ball too well at
Mm-hmm.
all. And it seems like Vegas is on the same page.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, with that being said, obviously, you have to start DK. Like, you're keeping
That's
DK out
without
there.
question because he could get like
Yeah.
3 catches for 40 and a touchdown. You're still pleased with that output as compared to, whoever you might pivot for.
Yeah,
So yeah, you're
exactly.
definitely keeping by no means was I saying like don't hear what
Yeah,
I'm not
no,
saying.
no, I know. It just
Yeah,
I we're on the same
no.
page with
For the
I'm not
people, for the people,
surprised
don't hear what I'm not
from
saying.
that
Just
line with
another one,
Vegas.
temper expectations.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Lockett and JSN, them I'm a bit more hesitant.
For sure. And Lockett's been decently consistent. He had one bad week against New England. Other than that, he's hovered right around 10 points, maybe a little bit above. JSN has had 2 bad weeks where he was targeted 2 and 3 times, and 2 weeks where he was targeted 16 and 12 times. If we're staying with the rhyme and reason behind that, he is due for a down week. But I am not completely sure. If you want it, like, again, it just depends. Like, I just want to really quickly. Like, JSN is starting for one of our guys. In our league, we play a 3 receiver with a flex. His other options would be Trey Sermon or he saw his Jalen Naylor, but basically Trey Sermon. Who would you rather play between those two? You're laughing at the Jalen. Why does he still have Jalen Naylor? I don't know.
I don't know. That's something you would have to ask him. But I mean, honestly, just the way that the Jaguars offense or the Jaguars defense has performed throughout, I mean, the process says go with Trey Sermon. I I don't know. It's just one where you could end up benching JSN and he has a great game, but
Yeah.
it's just hard for me to believe that there's going to be that much passing volume. I mean, if you look at some of the Ravens games where it's like Zay Flowers and all of the pass catchers pretty much have been non-existent,
Mm-hmm.
it's because the Ravens have been up by 3 scores at halftime, and I really think that this game
For sure.
could be one of those.
For sure. So, I mean, proceed with extreme caution when you're looking at that. Um, Outside of that, I really think the Seahawks defense is going to be a pretty good start this week. One thing they do is get after the quarterback. They've got multiple sacks in every single game, and I think they will get after Daniel Jones. We all know until recently, Daniel Jones had more pick sixes thrown than touchdowns since signing the mega contract. And the guy that is somewhat resolving that for them, Malik Neighbors, isn't playing. So the Seahawks defense could be a great start. I think it's a defense you have to start this week, but that's really all I had for that one. It should be a lopsided game. And
This next one is simple for me.
Yeah. It's simple, but it's the Packers at the Rams. The Packers are favored by 3 on the road. The over-under is 49.
Start everybody.
You start everybody, but to quickly touch on the guys that are missing, the reason why we are, and I agree, in the start everybody mode, is Christian Watson is unlikely to play with the ankle injury. Romeo Doubs threw a freaking woe is me pity party because Dontavion Wicks is getting hyper targeted and he's not, and he's on the field most of the time. He's suspended for the game because he skipped practice for 2 days.
Do you know how? No, Derek. Like, let me touch on this real quick because you saw like my move in our league. I paid up for Dontavian Wicks and dropped Romeo Doubs for him. Do you know how good I feel about that now?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who just in the depth chart?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is crazy.
No one is a bigger Dontavion Wicks believer than the guy that has held him in Dynasty for multiple years while he did nothing.
Okay.
Dude, I mean, you were right. You did the right move. I'm a believer as well. We're on the same page, dude. We both believe.
All right.
On top of both of those, it does Luke Musgrave is also questionable with an ankle injury. Even if he plays, he has been pretty non-existent. So as Schiff said, to touch on it very quickly, you start Jordan Love, you start Josh Jacobs, you obviously start Jaden Reed. Dontavion Wicks, you're getting the green light because 2 of the 4 top receivers are gone. You're the hot hand right now, and now it's just you and Jaden Reed with Bo Melton. You're getting the start. And Tucker Kraft,
yes,
absolutely. He's a hot hand as well. It's just
on Sleeper, he's up to 88% rostered.
No, and
because when you were mentioning the tight ends earlier, I was going to bring his name up, and then I clicked on him and saw that he is rostered in 88% of leagues. So
yeah, he flew up like crazy. And I'm not saying his productivity is going to like drastically decline. I do want to preface and touch on, if people paid attention to that Packers game, they were getting absolutely blown out by Minnesota. They stopped running the ball completely. They were flinging it to anyone that could get their hands on the ball. And to be fair, some dudes stepped up, the Dontavion Wickses, the Tucker Crofts, and other guys, Romeo Doubs, you're out there all the time. Why aren't you open? He can't honestly think Jordan Love, if Jordan Love saw him open, he's like, oh, I'm just not going to throw it to him. There's obviously a reason, but
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, some guys move up and some guys move down.
Kraft season.
Wicks and Kraft are absolutely moving up, and Dobbs and Christian Watson. I was seeing people saying when Watson and Dobbs come back from this, depending how Wicks plays, this might be Wick's number 2 moving forward.
I do not see a reason why not. Wicks seems a lot more talented than Romeo Dobbs. He's a lot healthier than Christian Watson. Oh my God, like I knew it. I knew it. Christian Watson just cannot stay on the field.
He's
He
good, but he is
can't, man.
so
He's good,
unhealthy.
but he cannot stay on the field. And I knew
Yeah,
this was going to happen. That's why I avoided him. I'm glad I got Wicks at least, since it's funny that I have Wicks in um, our redraft league and you have him in Dynasty, but I have Jaden Reed in Dynasty. So
that
I
is
mean,
true.
we're all in on the Packers receivers if you
Yeah,
couldn't tell.
absolutely.
But yeah,
The
going
Rams.
to the Rams side of the ball, it gets a little more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think Stafford is
I
a good
agree.
option. Um, Someone I do though is Jordan Whittington at receiver. I think he is a lot better than some other ones that we have. I mean, I think he's as good of a play as like Cortland Sutton is this week.
Yeah.
I I don't mind it at all. Um, Obviously you're playing Kyron. I mean, there's no question of whether or not you're playing Kyron at this point. As
Mm-hmm.
long as he's healthy and on the field, he's in your lineup. So that's not something that we really even have to touch on too much. I think, I mean, if you want to play Parkinson, I feel like the Rams are going to be in a position where they are behind having to throw the ball. So there's going to be a lot of passing volume in this game. Um, we talked about the tight ends, so I'm not going to go
Yeah.
too much into that. Derek brought up some good points about it already. And yeah, I mean, that's really the Tutu Atwell is um, just another. I think, especially if you shouldn't really need a home run play yet. But actually, that's not true. If you played against a team that might have had Baker Mayfield and Darnell Mooney, and you do need a home run play, yeah, play Tutu Atwell. I
Yeah.
think there's the possibility of he's just a big catch guy. Like they draw up plays for him and are successful.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we shall go into our Sunday night game, which I'm confused about how I feel about it. It could be really good just because the Steelers have a quarterback in Justin Fields that is capable of moving the ball at the very least with his legs, and he has been good throwing the ball like so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cowboys are missing a lot of guys on defense.
Yeah.
So I really think this could be a higher scoring game than like we're used to seeing with the Steelers, kind of like last week. Between them and the Colts, there were 51 points scored. I'm thinking this can be like something like that, and this could be an exciting Sunday night game. Um, Over under is 44. Honestly, kind of looking at the over on that one.
Yeah.
But knowing me, the under would hit if I took it. And the Steelers are favored by 3 at home. Um, On to the Cowboys side of the ball, you have Trayvon Diggs questionable with an ankle injury, and Michael Parsons is going to miss this game, which is why I talked about the Cowboys defense missing pieces. Also, as you know, DeMarcus Lawrence is on IR, so that's just another one to
Yeah.
go along with that. Um, for the offensive side of the ball, Brandon Cooks, as we talked about earlier, I'm actually thinking that was not on the podcast. We were talking about it before, but we were
Yeah.
talking about just the Cowboys receiver situation and how Brandon Cooks is now on IR. And we had talked before about Jalen Tolbert kind of being the number 2 guy on this team. Well, there's no choice at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He is quite literally the number 2 wide receiver. The number 2 option is Jake Ferguson, but
Yeah.
w- like the number 2 receiver on the team right now is Jalen Tolbert. That start isn't one that I would feel too awfully about this week. Just looking at last week, and Joe Flacco was able to get it done for both Michael Pittman and Josh Downs. That being said, I mean, I think Jalen Tolbert could have a decent week, might break double digits
Yeah.
if you need, a guy like that, but not like someone I'm excited to start. I think CD should have a great week. honestly.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, it's pretty much Dak, CD, Jake Ferguson.
Yeah.
This week, just
Brandon Aubrey. He gets the obvious start.
well, yeah, Brandon
Yeah.
Aubrey. I mean, that's another one. It's like no discussion at this point. Rico Dowdle, I mean, it's another one if you're backed into a corner and you kind of have no choice. He's probably going to get the majority of the snaps. Just taking a look at their last game, he got 45% and Hunter Lipke got 52. So it's not really good to see the
Mm-hmm.
fullback kind of outworking any other running back on the team, but it's just hard putting Rico Dowdle out there against the Steelers defense, which yeah, they got killed by Jonathan Taylor last week, but Rico Dowdle is not Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
So we'll see. If you have no choice but to start him, then that is what it is. Kind of avoiding the Cowboys defense at this point. They're
Dropped him.
yeah, they're just kind of another defense among the rest of them.
Yeah.
Maybe when they get their guys back in good matchups, they'll be a streaming defense, but they're not what they were last year.
No.
So, and yeah, that's about all I got for the Cowboys side of the ball.
Yeah, it's fairly simple on the Pittsburgh side of the ball. I think Justin Fields is a great choice this week. He's currently the QB7. He's coming off a monster week. The Cowboys' defense, especially their defensive line, is depleted. Stephon Gilmore is no longer there. Their secondary has obviously taken a massive hit as well. It's just not the same Dallas defense by any means. Justin Fields can get it done through the air decently, and he also gets it done with his legs, which provide incredible fantasy upside. Jalen Warren is out with a knee injury. Cordell Patterson is out with an ankle injury. So the only running back that they are showing to spell Najee Harris is Aaron Shamklin. Aaron Shamklin is the other running back. Najee is a start this week. He's finished right around double digits, and he hasn't gotten in the end zone. That's the big thing. Najee has I'd like to say, a decent chance of getting in the end zone, but with the volume he's going to get alone, and he should also be involved catching the ball as well. The first couple of weeks, he only had 2 targets. He's seen 5 and 6, respectively, these last 2 weeks, so he's seeing an increase there. Najee's getting the start. George Pickens gets an obvious start. Pat Freiermuth is tight end 6. Yeah, he's been solid as well. I mean, he's the number 2 option there, realistically. You know, they got Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin. It's Muth as the number 2 option. Chris Boswell I like, and I don't hate the Steelers defense. It depends.
I mean, I'm playing them just because the sacks.
Yeah, they get after the quarterback
Because of
for
the
sure.
sack potential. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, so I'm kind of nervous about that, but I think they could make up for it with, possible sacks and turnovers.
Yeah, but our final game, one that I personally am excited for, none other than what?
The dreaded 5.5.
The dreaded 5.5, and not only that, the Chief Killer himself, Derek Carr. New threads, same Derek Carr. Someone's got to take out the Chiefs. Someone's got to make them lose the undefeated streak. Who better than Derek Carr coming into Kansas City? Revamped offense. I'm excited for it. Yeah, the Chiefs are favored by 5.5. The over-under is 43. I'm not looking to start Derek Carr this week. He came out extremely hot the first 2 weeks. And people were like, oh, he could be viable fantasy-wise. I knew better than that to expect that to hold its weight through the season. But he has been getting it to the weapons that we have come to love. The Chris Olave, obviously we roll Chris Olave. And Rashid Shaheed, I will give him his credit. Even the week where he got dudded with the 5 targets, gave us a 0. He bounces back last week. He gets 11 freaking targets, dude. He gets 11 targets and catches 8 of them. Rashid Shaheed's gone over 15 fantasy points in 3 of the 4 weeks. With buys and injuries, he's someone that absolutely, I mean, he just has to be in your lineup. Alvin Kamara was also able to shed his injury designation. He was limited with through the week with hip and rib injuries, but he carries no designation, so he should be a full go. Obviously, we're rolling him. But I mean, that's really it. I'm just excited to see this one, see how the Saints compete. But I'm going to give the prediction. I do think the Saints end the undefeated streak for the Chiefs.
I like it. I think
They're getting too banged up, man.
I brought up the 5.5 points, and you take away Rashee Rice. The Saints' defense has been formidable.
Yeah.
I mean, they've played good games this season so far. And the Chiefs, all of their wins have been by one score. So I think this is definitely the one, and it would be cool to see, honestly. For the Chiefs side of the ball, is it difficult? So it's kind of hard to say as of right now because I guess Kareem Hunt just recently popped up on the injury report.
Of course.
So that's something we're gonna have to monitor going into the game. It's not looking like Clyde is going to play in this game, but it looks like he is on his way back as well. I mean, I think maybe if Kareem Hunt doesn't go, the best start in the Chiefs' backfield might be Samaje Perine.
Yeah.
It's kind of gross, but
yeah,
he'll probably get some targets, especially with Rashee being out. He'll probably end up getting a few more targets. And I mean, Travis Kelce's an obvious start. Mahomes,
it's tough because you have the bye, but at what point are we gonna? I'm not saying drop him, but
you don't have to drop him. But let's take a look. I like the matchup that Trevor Lawrence has against Indy. Would you take that chance on Trevor Lawrence or play Patrick Mahomes? Where it's just that. Granted,
yeah,
Lawrence might dud, and he's performed under 10 points before. But Patrick Mahomes, it's like you're going to get 15, 16 points. That you are going to get like 14 to 16, something around
he's
there.
not winning you weeks anymore.
Like there is no ceiling anymore.
Yeah.
He's just a floor play. And that's kind of the thing to me. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
think if there's a play with a little bit more upside, you definitely don't need to drop him. He'll get picked up right away. But if you have the space to, one of these guys that are hurt, throw him on the IR, bench Mahomes for a week, and stream a quarterback that. Yeah, I mean, I think Lawrence has a better game. I think Deshaun Watson has the potential to have a better game. Honestly, as disgusting as that sounds, Sam Darnold has been better so far. So it's just tough, and it makes it exceedingly difficult with Rashee Rice missing now.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy, I mean, I think we're playing him at this point just due to the fact that, I mean, he's kind of just working his way in. Now that Rashi's gone, he's going to have to step up. I think this game will really define like whether or not he is going to kind of take over that role or whether it's going to get spread around a lot more. And the focal point just goes back to Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
It's to be determined though, and I think the only real playable assets are Kelce, Worthy, Mahomes, and then Perine. I just don't trust Carson Steele at this point.
Yeah, I don't blame you for it. I'm going to give one more bold prediction. Juju.
What did Justin lost? Oh.
Juju is going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Chiefs again. He's going to have to be. Xavier Worthy can be the best fantasy, but I'm saying
He
like
might.
he's
It's
gonna
just.
have
I
to
think
be.
it's just gonna be like a mix of him and Justin Watson, and it might get really gross, and it's really just gonna turn into Travis Kelce being the focal point again, I believe.
I do say he's 1 year removed from the Chiefs. But I'm bringing this up because he's someone I genuinely am monitoring on the waiver wire only because he was with the Chiefs in 2022. He gets 100 targets. He catches 80 passes. He goes over 900 yards. He rots away in New England for a year. It obviously goes downhill. He comes back to the Chiefs. He's getting his rhythm, mainly just because you've lost Hollywood, you've lost Rashi, you've lost Pacheco. Even with Kareem, you can't like rely on this run game. It's obviously going to have to go back to Travis Kelce. He's another year older. How much wear and tear can he actually hold through an entire season if they're putting it back on his shoulders? Just monitor Juju. I'm going to throw it out there. Just monitor.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, definitely. But and then yeah, Butker, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you want to play the Chiefs defense, we know that that is the like backbone
Oh,
of
yeah.
that team.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, other than that, to all of you out there, good luck. It has been a rough 4 weeks. Not just for, some of our fantasy records, but there have been so many injuries. So hopefully we can get a healthy week 5. Everybody's lineups stay good.
Yeah.
Good luck to everybody. Got anything else to add, Derek?
No, we're good to go. Take us home.
All right. Thank you guys once again. All the support. Do this for you guys, put out all of these episodes. And we do love doing it, but you got to give the information to somebody.
Yeah.
So thank you guys once again. And as we say every time, come back next time, take more reps with the first team.
Yes, sir.